Hey guys, welcome to another ride in Struggle Bus, where every wheel is an empty triangle. On today's bus ride, we are playing against a student of mine. He answered the call because if you guys have not seen my last video, go check it out. But as I mentioned there, I have set up a Discord server. And so one of the things that I do there is I post when I'm going to be playing these bus ride games. And so I posted there this evening that I was going to be playing soon. And our friend Brian responded and said that he was available to play. So just by joining the server, he was able to essentially get a free video review of his game, which is a pretty cool thing. And that's something that you guys can do too if you go and join the server. So go check it out. I'll post a link in the comments. It's probably the easiest way to find them. But either way, that is what today's game is. It's a little more complicated than our previous bus rides. We focus a lot on strength of groups in this one. Because as we transition into middle game, that's really what becomes important. A lot of my, the struggle bus basics, the true basics, really speak to, the beginning of the game, right? When we should be playing the big efficient moves. But as we move into the middle game, which is the much more complicated part of the game, that's where strength of groups becomes much more important. And so it's important to showcase that as well. But of course, things get a little more complicated when we do that, and you'll see that in this game. But hopefully it is easy enough to follow. Anyway, as per always, I'd like to thank our opponent for playing us today. I'd like to thank you guys for watching these videos, and I'd like to thank my Patreon subscribers for supporting this channel. So anyway, let's go get into this game. Okay, let's go. We are playing against a 10K on not KGS. We're in OGS. We are not in the desolate wastelands of KGS. And we are playing against Brian, who has been a student of mine for a little bit. He answered the call for the bus ride because he has joined the Discord server. And when I was like, hey guys, does anybody want to play? Brian's like, I offer myself as tribute. So here he is, and here we are. So we'll see how well Brian does with following the basic rules, but I've seen a good number of his games. I know that he does a pretty good job of following the rules. So let's see what this game turns into, shall we? So you'll notice that we have gone after the corners. I'm approaching a corner here. Brian's doing a good job of balancing third and fourth line stones. We are doing the same. And as you guys know by now, I like breaking up potential moyos. And so that is what I'm doing now. So the question is, are we going to do the very typical 3-3? Or do we want to jump out to get our influence? You want to know? I'll show you this variation. It is much less common now than when I was learning to play some like 14 years ago. This was, both variations were common. The Tanuki. I don't know how to handle this. Whoa, can you believe this guy? He just Tanuki'd from us. We played a move that demanded a response. He just Tanuki'd. So where should we play? Because his move's pretty big too. Should we follow up our last move? Should we respond to his move? Should we play somewhere else? I'm curious where you guys would play here because I actually don't know what the proper move is. I know where I played or where I'm going to play. But either way, let me know in the comments where you guys would play right here because I am curious. Anyway, let's get back to the game. I feel like L16 was a move that demanded a response. And so when your opponents disregard your moves and Tanuki, you should consider playing where they should have played. In this case, they should play L17. I'm just going to cover on top. This likely effectively kills this stone. I'm not sure if it's worth saving, though I'm real curious to see what Brian does, because if he was willing to Tanuki from this once, he should be willing to Tanuki from this twice. That's getting a little above our basics, but that is something that is often a good strategy. Again, if you're going to Tanuki away from a stone once, be willing to just let it get damaged and Tanuki again. So I wonder if he's going to follow up his threat by playing Q5, because that is normally the follow-up to the low approach to a 3-4 stone. So let's see what our friend has for us. Okay, so he has chosen to attach. We will respond. We will Hane. And let's see. He should likely... I wonder if S2 is the move. This is a good shape move. And we are going to do a similar shape move. just to get strong, be alive. We're not looking to get points here. We're just looking to keep our group nice and healthy. This is kind of a weird variation, but again, typically we are responding to P3, and the response, and if we ignore that, the response I'm used to is Q5. So we're kind of adapting here. So let's see if he plays the Hane here. If he does, we'll Hane, but I'm curious to see what way he goes with this. Okay, so he chooses to extend, and that seems perfectly reasonable. So now the question is, do we feel like we need another stone here? And since we are playing a nice basic game, I am just going to extend just to get ourselves a nice base here. If this was, a league game of mine, I probably would have considered something like E17. But it is nice and straightforward to keep our group safe here, get ourselves a nice base. This is something we are used to seeing. So that is what I decided to play. And look at that. He goes and plays the move that I said I wanted to play. So now at this point, we're kind of transitioning into middle game. And I want to start going over this a little more in these basics videos. Because as we transition into middle game, what really starts becoming important is relative strength of groups, making sure that your groups are strong and your opponent's groups are weak. And so when we look at this board, we can see that both groups in the bottom right corner, nice and strong. Obviously black's strong in the top left. White is fine in the bottom left. White's nice and strong here, but black has these two stones that are just kind of floating around. So I think we can go after these stones. So we can go and take the corner, or we can go and play a move like this. And I'm going to choose to play a move like this because there's a little more potential on this side if black had taken a move like R11. It's nice and effective to extend off of fourth line stones. So while I'm kind of flat here with 3 third line stones, not doing a great job of balancing my third and fourth line stones here, I still think R8 was a better move than Q8 because that would have invited R10 as a response. Okay, so we're getting kicked. We will just extend. So look, there's our fourth line stone. So now we do have some good balance, and then black does come back with Q18. And I think that is a fine move. And so at this point, I think the left side is probably the largest area. And I think we want to stay away from the strength over here. So I'm just going to jump in here. These two stones are very far away from one another, so this is a very open space. And our friend does a good response here. He's going to lean on our strength to get strength for himself, and I think that is a perfectly valid thing to do. Let's see if he correctly Hane's. Black, I think, should definitely Hane at B3, letting us get this. The corner's a little too big, and this group still isn't the healthiest. I expect that our friend will Hane at D5 to get a little more strength for this. And now we can extend here. And this is kind of why I chose to play C9 instead of C8. You normally want to play away from strength. And I knew that there were some exchanges that could be made here to get strength for black. And so I stayed closer to the stone that I consider to be weaker. We are going to now attach to this stone. This is similar to what black did down here to us. Black attached to our stone to get strength. We are doing the same. We are attaching to this stone to get strength. So we can play this to look to run out. And now black can't really Hane because there will be too many cuts there. And if black just simply extends, we can diagonal out. And it'll be a little bit of a running fight, but that is fine. And so black chooses to connect. Perfectly reasonable response. So the trade-off here is we removed the potential that black had here, but black is transitioning that potential into the corner. We're just going to jump out, get in, get out as quickly as we can. Black will be a little concerned with this group. That's the trade-off here. Black is going to get good potential on the corner, but we're both going to have these groups that are a little weak. And this should be pretty good for us that we're able to get out ahead first. Again, we seem to be getting a little beyond basics here. And I think that is because of who we are playing today. Brian knew what he was getting into and typically plays well when he plays against me. So he chooses to play here. This is saying that he wants to build potential here. And he thinks that this group is strong enough to fend for itself. And I don't think that's necessarily wrong. I think this group is in an okay position for now. And so the question is, do we want to reduce any of the potential here, or do we just want to go after this group? And I'm unsure of the answer here. But I think we will just play here. This looks to develop our top a little bit. And depending on how black answers this, if black plays something like f16, that's saying, yep, I'll give you the top, I'll take the corner. And if black wants to play something like j17, then that's him saying, I want to ruin your top while you ruin the corner and the side. So either way is a reasonable approach, I think. It's more stylistic, so let's see what our friend wants to do. And so he's looking to build the side, which I think is absolutely a fine option. Probably the one I would have played as well. Hianes, we will Hane. And so we're just doing exchanges here, and these are pretty good exchanges for both players, I think, where we are building the top. He's building the corner. We were able to build the corner, and he was able to keep this group weak, and we were able to keep this group a little weak. Okay, interesting move here. How do we want to handle this? If we Hane, he can get the Atari in, but then he won't be able to extend. So I think we can Hane here because black will also have the same cuts that we have. So black should probably connect, at which point we will connect. And that is a nice, fine exchange for both players. Black has done a good job of solidifying, probably around 20 points here, and we've done a reasonable job of solidifying a little less. But that is to be expected because corners are more efficient than sides, which is why we like going after them first. So now black has realized that the next big urgent area on the board is over here because black has this weak group. We are going to continue jumping out. We want to make sure that we stay ahead, especially now that black is stronger on top of us. We need to respect that, and so we need to run with this group. Okay. Kind of a strange move here. This is actually, honestly, probably the first move this game that I look at and go, that one's a little off. I'm unsure what this does because we're still in the middle game where we care about strength of groups. And I spent a good amount of time just describing that here, right, where black has this group that's a little unsettled, white has this group that's a little unsettled. And I think this should be the focal point of the board for a while. Not leaning on a group that's already very strong and extending from a group that's already very strong. So I don't think we needed anything there. So the question is, how can we effectively get more strength for this group while weakening his group? And I do wonder if it's looking at playing a move like e7 to threaten to cut. Or if it's just leaning on a stone like this, or if it's just as simple as coming out ahead of this. And honestly, not an easy decision. In this case, I think I'm just going to play a very slow but very solid move. From a movement standpoint, this move is very slow, but from a strength standpoint, it's very solid. So now this group is much stronger than it was before. And by virtue of that, that means that this group is weaker because we can now play more aggressively against this group because our group is stronger. And that's a really important concept when you're building strength with your groups. Once it gets to a point where your groups are stronger than your opponent's groups, and that's the goal, you can start poking at their weaknesses aggressively because there's no counterattack. If you leave weak groups behind as you try to attack your opponent, they'll be able to, find ways to counterattack you. Go lean on those weaknesses to get strength to then rebuff the attacks. And so that's kind of the idea here of keeping your group strong so that you can then go after your opponents. Because I'm eyeing a move like e7, but I have to respect the fact that I've got cuts as well. But now that I'm stronger, we can look at a move like this and know that black doesn't really have too much counterplay against my group. So here, just going to play one more shape move. This will move us out a little faster. We can run towards friends. You can see that we're also naturally developing something off of the side in the center here, but this was not done for points. This was done for strength and for potential for life. And so now that this group is nice and strong and out ahead, we can start looking at poking at weaknesses such as the cut at h8, as well as this shape point e7, which threatens to cut in a couple directions. So we can look at that now. So black needs to be aware of that and should maybe play a move like, either g6 or e5, e6. I think something around here is probably the way to go, just to make sure that this group is strong enough. So I'm not sure. This looks like he just wants to reduce this, but my group's still strong, and so I'm not really concerned about that. So let's go find something to do with this, and we're going to start with this move. This threatens to cut here, and it threatens to cut here, and so it's just a good way to kind of mess up black's shape a little bit. And we could look at taking this cut, but I don't think it's going to do what we want it to do. But now we can come out this way, which threatens to cut here. And so black chooses to block that way. That seems a little dangerous. That seems a little dangerous to me. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play right here. Because our goal, just like with any other attack, our goal is not to kill stones here. We just want to get profit. And so now, if we're able to stop black from getting life on the side here, then black will need to continue to run. And so it'll just get us something. What's our profit going to be here? Not quite sure. But we have a cut here now. And so we can play this cut. And now black's going to need to spend some moves to get life here. And then we've got, a group that we can go after. And honestly, I'm not sure what we're necessarily going to get out of this attack. I just knew that there was some weakness in this group that I wanted to go after. Okay, so black makes the very sensible move to go try to get life here. Not 100% sure that this group is alive. Let's play this forcing move, and then we're going to go play on the outside and go chase this group around. The goal was never to kill the stones. I'll come back and take a look at this one later to see what life and death looks like there. For now, I want to go continue chasing this group. So we're going to play here because this group was looking to run to the right. So we're just going to drop a stone directly in their path. And you notice that we're leaving a cut here. But remember, we have the strength now. So we can play these aggressive moves because black cutting us is not a large concern of us. So all I'm doing now is I just want to reduce the potential over here. That is all. Nothing too crazy. I'm going to play here to force black to connect. This gets us a little bit better shape here. Black connects with fantastic shape. Instead of playing the empty triangle, Brian knows better than that and plays the double tiger's mouth. I'm a big fan of that. So now, what do we want to do? I think we're actually going to come back, interestingly enough, and answer this move now. Because now that we've got some strength here, we are actually building up some potential here. So let's see if we can convert that to something. Okay, and so black has decided to ignore that. I think that's fine. I think that is fine to ignore that. And is saying, yes, white, you can have some points up there. I'm going to take some points down here in exchange. So we're going to play this. I suspect black will give this stone up. I think it's probably worth giving this stone up. But this was still a good move to link our groups up. But I can tell by the fact that black is hesitating that he is at least considering giving this stone up. And that's something that makes me happy. Again, I've been helping Brian out for a while now. So these are some of the things that we've gone over in previous games. And that is great to see. So he does choose to give this stone up. And I think that is great. Okay, so now we've got potential here. Let's see if we can cash in on the potential. We will extend here. So now we're transitioning kind of from mid-game to late mid-game, where we still care about strength of groups, but we are caring a little more about converting our potential into points now. That's kind of where the transition happens. So now we're going to be looking at the big end game moves of where can we get some points. Okay, well, he caught me off guard with this one. I think this is an overplay. I think that we can play here and cut. Actually, pretty sure we can. The question is, are we going to do that? And I think we are. I think this is asking for too much. And again, apparently the theme of this game is strength of groups. And I'd mentioned a few times now that when your groups are strong, and your opponent's groups are weak, though in this case his groups are strong at this point in time as well, you can play the more aggressive moves. You can punish weaknesses later in the game. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to play this cut because my group up top is really strong. My group on the side, really strong. So black doesn't really have any counterplay to make this difficult for us. So black decides that is in fact the case. So I think we are going to block here, right? He's obviously looking to connect this stone. And then he plays there. That is fine. We will just connect here. We could, we might be looking at a move like this because it gets us more points. But then there's this cut at N17 that I just don't like. And one of our rules is to protect our cuts. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to protect this cut. And yes, we potentially lose a point for that. But the Aji that would get left behind, I think would be more problematic. Okay, so now we can, so Brian is playing the large endgame moves, and this is one that we absolutely do need to respond to. It is at the point in the game where we do need to, where the second line moves are going to start becoming large. And so as we transition into big endgame moves, as Brian's going to show us very well here, you want to find the moves that are sente and or double sente and play those before your opponent can. In this case, I'm going to Tanuki from this because I think there are bigger moves on the board, and I can't let him get all the sente. Actually, want to know what? That's not true. I'm going to let him show us if he can find all of the sente moves. So we are going to protect this. And let's see if he can find another good sente endgame move. Perhaps something like T12. I like this move. That's a good move because it threatens to kill these 3 stones. And so this does a good job of ensuring that black has eye space here because, again, I wasn't 100% sure that group was alive. But we are going to save these 3 stones. I think they are big enough to save, and I think there is still some Aji here. And so I want to make sure that these don't die. Black probably does need to come back with another move, but let's see. Black's not so sure. I wonder what happens if we play B5. Looks like a vital point, doesn't it? Really, really looks like a vital point. I think this kills. So we'll go over this after the game. I'm not going to play this right now. I do believe B5 kills. But instead, let's go find a big sente endgame move. So we will play this first line Hane. And we will connect here. And black owes us a move here. And now we can play F18. Big second line move. And it comes in sente because we can play here, which also comes in sente. And we'll connect. Black will connect. And we can play O19 because this would be sente if black plays it. So we will play here. This is not Sente. Black does not need to respond to this move. But it was Sente if Black played N19. And I'm glad that he is thinking about this as well. I wonder if he's going to give this stone up. He does choose to save, and that is pretty big. That is pretty large, so I do not fault him for that. Another large move. We've got a third line move over here, so we will play J3, also a large move. And it is worth noting that I Atari'd this stone 30 moves ago. He decided not to save. I still haven't captured it. Still haven't captured that stone because I do not think it was worth saving. So we'll play here, and we will just come back. It's funny, I was just about to say that I was going to ask him my final question with A8. But how do we want to handle this now? I think I want to play here to threaten to push through. I think I am going to finally capture this stone. He captures, we will connect. And a little tricky here, but we can connect. And so we will. We can also consider F9, bamboo joint. It connects cleanly up here. And you want to know what? I like this better. There's less Aji this way, and so black can have this stone. That is fine. I just want to make sure that we are nice and fully connected here. So I'm going to play that. Going to threaten to push in here, and at this point we're pretty much fully in endgame. So I'm just going to, we'll be closing off the borders here, and that's pretty much going to be it. So I will see you guys at the end of this game to see how it finished up. Okay, so here we are at the end of the game, and it was a very respectable one. I think Brian did a really good job, though AR Graph tells us that we both missed something pretty big, and I think I know what it was. So let's go into the review and take a look at this game and see where our friend could have played better. Okay, here we are in the review, taking a look at the moves from Black's perspective. All of this seems perfectly reasonable. This seems a little slow, but not a bad move. And then the pincer is fine here. And like I said, I wanted to go over this variation because we're so used to everybody's seen the 3-3 invasion at this point in time after the pincer that I wanted to mix up a little bit. This is done to get to take the outside. Typically, Black would extend and then eventually jump, and we go out here. And there's some Aji here because Black can cut in either direction, but there's still some Aji in this corner. But White does this to get the influence. But either way, our friend chose to Tanuki, which honestly I think is fine, and I'm glad to see that he Tanuki'd again. I think it would have been a mistake to come back and play this move. I don't think that would have been the correct thing to do. The typical response for this approach, if your opponent ignores it, is just to press and do something like this to gain some really good influence while keeping your opponent flat. In this case, the attach seems reasonable enough. This response seems reasonable enough, as does this. There are likely better moves here, but from a basic perspective, these are all reasonable moves, right? We are playing good shape. We're going after the corner, and now we're going after the side because that's what's open. So anyway, I go and take the side, and then Black plays this move. And I think this is exactly where I would have played as White and Black. So I think that is a fine move. We go here, Black kicks, and then takes the corner. I think Black's done a fantastic job so far. I think this game's probably dead even. And so we go here. Black leans on our group here. For this, though, I think I would revert into this variation. So this is a variation that you guys will see more as you get closer to single-digit Q and into single-digit Q, is this attachment as opposed to this slide. And the typical variation, which assumes there aren't these other stones on the board, is White will Hane here and then Black will Hane. and then white will usually Atari and then connect. Black will connect. And now white has the option of extending or pushing. And then here black has the option of taking this, capturing this stone or pushing. And again, that assumes that the C9 stone isn't there, which I'm sure changes things, but this is still what I would look at. Some of you might be looking at this and going, but wait a second, there's an Atari and then an Atari. And there is, but now black can play here and black can get this Atari. And it does, the ladder, this does matter on the ladder, but in this situation, black could do something as simple as this to threaten this stone. And now this turns the ladder back on. And white is doomed. So I know this is a little complicated. This variation is more complicated than the slide, which is why you typically don't see it in your games right now. But it is one that will come up. That's why I expected black to play here. Black playing here, unfortunately, is bad shape for black. Gives white really good shape and gives us the corner, more of the corner than we should have gotten. But black does do a good job of getting strength and then going after this stone. We lean on his strength, and I think all this is fine. I think black played this. Great. I mentioned here that black could have considered a move like this, but this is the more calm and solid approach. Perfectly fine move. I still think things are going well for black here. I liked this exchange. And then here, I think is probably where I got in a little bit of trouble. And fortunately, my opponent did not find it, because this cut isn't actually that great, because we can Atari and then connect, but then there's this cut. And I missed that. And luckily, my opponent missed it too. But do you know who did not miss it? AI. AI did not miss it. And so I saw that there was a sign. I saw that there was a sine graph there of it just going up and down, up and down, up and down. And I think this is probably it, because this cut was there the entirety of this game. And it's especially bad now. But I think we both missed this one. It's really, really quite large. Because now these stones are just really in trouble. So we missed things too. That's okay. That's what the struggle bus is all about. So here, black Tanukis. I do think that Tanuki was a little off, because it does give us time to start going after this. So especially now that this stone's here, oh boy, that cut's huge. The cut is so big now, where when we play away, black playing here, again, we can do this, but it's now white's dead. This is bad. This is terrible. Terrible. And we missed it, guys. We missed it. Well, I mean, you might not. You're better than this. But I missed it. These things happen. These things happen. Go is hard. Okay. So we move along. Black goes and connects to his group, and I think this is fine. But I think black did good here as well. This did get a little too large. And I think that was because of this Tanuki. I think that just gave us a little too much movement into the center, because at the end of the day, I think we won because we got too large of a center here. So where else? And then this was the I think really the probably the game losing move at the end. And, I'd mentioned throughout a lot of this game that we were looking at strength of groups and relative strength of groups, which is something I've been teaching to a lot of people recently. And so that's kind of my kick now. But I mentioned, our groups are strong, so we can play aggressive moves when our groups are strong. When your opponent's groups are strong, you can't play those aggressive moves. And so here, playing this Knights move was just asking for a little too much. I think playing a move like this would have been perfectly fine. Interestingly enough, playing this probably lets black play the move that black wanted to play, which was O13, but he needed to do it in this order. Playing it this way, we were just able to cut immediately. And I think black recognized that and, cut his losses, but it was a little too much. I'm a little sad I didn't get to find the timing to play this. I wanted to see if he was going to respond, because this does kill him locally. But we went on and played all these endgame moves instead. You'll notice this cut's still here. The cut's still there. It was there the entire time. So shame on me. Shame on me for missing that. But anyway, other than that, you know, the end game stuff, we both, I think Brian did a fine enough job in end game. That's not where he lost the game. We probably got a few points on him. But the mistakes came earlier. So yeah, this one was a little more complicated than the other bus ride games, and that's okay. Sometimes it's important to go over these more complicated concepts as well. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this game, and hopefully there will be many more of these videos in the coming weeks, coming months. Anyway, thank you guys for coming out for another ride in the Struggle Bus, where every wheel is an empty triangle. Have a good one, guys.